I have brought Lemurian Star Child Oracle cards today. Heavy. Alright, so we're going to do Lemurian Star Child Oracle, one of my favorite decks, and just see what is going on. Our moon has shifted into Sagittarius. Yesterday we were doing Scorpio moon. We're now in Sagittarius. Now, our Sagittarius moon forms a sextile, and this is very important because it's touching Pluto, which is in Aquarius, which is still retrograde. And we're going to talk about that as soon as I get this kind of set up and shared out. But just take a second to go ahead and say hi, leave a comment, especially if you're trying to get cards and things like that. And we'll talk about this a little bit more. I put a few posts up on my page earlier talking about both Pluto retrograde and Pluto in Aquarius, because these are very important, call them alignments, transits that we're in. Even this one's going like for the next couple of decades, okay? And this is going to play a really important role, not just play an important role in the awakening that's happening, it's like central to it. So make sure you guys are hitting that share button, and we'll get started in a minute. Make sure you're leaving a comment if you're trying to get cards and things like that. Make sure you guys are hitting that share button. And I'll let you do that so we can kind of get started. Alright, so, and Pluto is still retrograde. So whenever we have a planet retrograde, you guys already know, it encourages us to go within. So with today's sextile, it's encouraging us to go within, and this is where you might be having like a lot of clarity, optimistic feedback, things you need to work on. When we deal with Pluto, it's literally the shadow. When we deal with Pluto and Aquarius, it's literally the collective shadow work. So while we're moving through some of these energies, and these few retrogrades in the beginning, we're in one now, are very important to this alignment. This means that you might be a little bit more sensitive to what's going on with the collective energies and the collective fields. You might be feeling other people's emotions a little bit more, able to tap in or tune into how people are feeling a little bit more. You might be more sensitive to collective events as they're playing out, or other things within the collective field. And this is where we're kind of going through a huge, whenever we deal with Pluto energy, rewiring, restructuring at the core. And this involves literally the collective. And you guys are probably seeing that and noticing that, where old structures are kind of being, I say, rewired or regridded, but you might be kind of feeling outside energies a little bit more during this time too. Whenever we deal with Pluto, it's literal shadow work, same themes that we're kind of moving through the rest of this week, right? We've been kind of diving into the shadow. So because the energy really takes you within, so usually like normal, it's external events in your life that have woken you up and played an important role. It's like everything outside of you, the external drama. When we are in this energy, it's a little more subtle. You're going to have the revelations within, like sitting with yourself and like putting pieces together, figuring things out, noticing more. And so we're in that kind of go within energy right now. And it's all about the huge transformation that you're going through within and your inner world right now of whatever's kind of coming up. But when we're dealing with Pluto energy, which we had that alignment yesterday, but we're still in it, it's very powerful for kind of showing you things on a deeper level within yourself. Okay, we're going to get started. We're doing Lemurian Star Child Oracle. Make sure you're hitting the share button and leaving a comment if you do want to get a card. Make sure you guys are checking out my website, sparksofdivinelighealing.com. Happy Friday. All right. I am an energy healer. I do healings, activations, and clearings all on my website. I always keep my site up to date too. You can always do anything on my website anytime too that you need it. So make sure you guys are checking out my website. I have tons of psychic readings on there. I teach tons of classes like Reiki and Sikhem, tons of energy healings. I always say go with what you're guided to too when you're navigating my site. So let's get started. We're doing Lemurian Star Child Oracle. If you're able to sign up and send PayPal donations, or send stars, or be a supporter, please do. It helps to keep this page going, always needing it. So if you're sending stars, I'm going to try to give you a psychic shout out. You always can just send them just because. All right, I saw Francisca Faith, Rainbow Child. Unstoppable, new earth builder, multi-talented, miraculous alchemy. So a lot of you guys, if you're getting pretty good at manifesting, or if you've always had gifts of manifestation and kind of creating things, maybe you're very creative, we always talk about that a lot, or maybe you're just really good on the manifestation end. Sometimes we didn't even know we were, and these were dormant gifts and abilities that are coming online. I call these the new earth builders, the manifestors, where the work that you're doing within yourself, within your own energy field, and within your own life is helping to, we'll say, anchor into these higher timelines. It's really important, as we were talking about the collective earlier, like for a minute, that you're tapping into the higher collective, not the false matrix distorted collective. I call that the 3D, right? But that you're actually connecting with that 5D frequency and level and the people that kind of exist on it. And you're going to really begin to be able to tell. It's those people on that higher level that are actually already creating the new earth and this new higher state of consciousness. So this is just a little bit of like tapping into your manifestation gifts. I talk a lot about that's in the realm of the third eye, working with your third eye, working on what you're manifesting. Sometimes we don't realize what a big impact that we're having on things during this time. You're being guided to really focus on, and then I was kind of tapping into, so everything is a different frequency. It's a little bit like dialing into things, so we can dial into the frequency of abundance or manifestation or our desires or whatever it is. It's kind of like you're tuning into things. We get really good at kind of changing the frequency and what we're doing. And that's how manifestation works. It's literally dialing into what you're trying to manifest and really aligning with that frequency to pull it towards you or to bring it into your reality. Make sure that you're really, really honing in on your manifestation gifts. Sometimes I was saying this takes practice. Like as you're building momentum and figuring out this actually works and you're manifesting more and more, you're going to build momentum and you're going to be able to bring through more and probably a lot faster too. So this is all about your gifts of manifestation and what you're doing here on planet Earth. When I deal with the rainbow, right, the rainbow symbolism, this is the starseed healer. That has embodied, integrated all of the 7 chakras, right, frequencies, activated all 7 chakras, and has that very strong in their energy or their auric field as well too. Let's do Heather Bonnet. Surrender. Release misaligned energies, reattune to your truth. And I love this because it's all about getting in alignment, not with everyone else, with yourself. And so I think this is so important too. This is my ego card. Sometimes it's just, I always talk a lot about surrendering with your ego and letting go of, we're doing this huge today, ego attachments. I put a little blurb on the video. This is a good energy to let go of ego, expectations, attachments. That's like a part of the process. Sometimes we go through this a lot. A lot of people don't talk about. We go through major cycles of death and rebirth within our awakening. It's not just one. We're like, okay, yeah. So we go through these deeper cycles, even as we're moving through the cycles of the earth, right? We're going to move into that cycle big time right now. And you're probably feeling, I was saying we're integrating that shift into fall right now. But this is more on a personal level, really, really getting in alignment with your highest frequency, but also getting in alignment with yourself. And so this takes a little bit of clearing work at times. We're in the energy of autumn, of letting go of things that we've outgrown, are outdated, no longer serving us. This could look like old soul contracts, things you're trying to release, things you're healing within yourself. And I was going to say this, and I'm going to say this for this person, a lot of old stuff you haven't dealt with is coming back up or going to come back up. And it's not all at once. It's through your awakening that you have a lot of old stuff from the 3D. Yeah, I know. From all that stuff you went through when you were asleep, that you haven't resolved still. And I know people think of karma. I don't even necessarily mean that. I mean like lots of old stuff that you maybe haven't fully healed, or like, and it's going to come up, and it can take many years of like the work, but it's old stuff is bound to come up if you still haven't healed it fully or like resolved it fully. And I know we kind of moved through it and let go of it, and like it's like way in our past, and okay, old stuff may be coming up for you to move through. This could be to heal certain things, to clear certain things, or to revisit certain things, because it does need a healing. It just kind of depends, because this is like my letting go of the past, and also it's crown chakra work and kind of staying open within your spiritual awakening, because that surrender is a huge part of it. Let's do Nikki Lee, healing. Gentleness of love, realignment, and transformation. And this is, I put that on the videos, like inner transformation energy. It's all about the inner healing that you're going through and whatever it is that you need to work on. And this is where the inner work is done, and literally it's purging out all negativity on the internal level. Like, yeah, we do that on the external oftentimes, but usually actually you want to go within. And I always talk about this, checking your negative beliefs, thoughts, programming, things you picked up on. This is what's going to change your outer reality. So oftentimes we love to change external components like people, partners, I could go on and on with this list, friends, right? And things like this. And we're noticing some of the problems continue to repeat. Like, I see that with the relationship work I do big time. I was explaining, like, you'll continue to work through the same issues. Okay, you got a different partner, same issues. So this is why it's so, so important that if we truly want to shift different areas of our life, we have to shift ourselves, our own beliefs, our own attitude, our own thoughts, and even our energy. Because oftentimes we contain deeper energetic patterns, we call these imprints. And oftentimes we carry karmic imprints and things from past experiences, things we picked up, our family line. And this is what we kind of need to heal on a deeper energy level. So this is why so many people can assume they're healed and have repeating patterns. The repeating patterns and cycles point us towards the deeper healing. And once we kind of like get the picture, like, it makes it a lot easier, so we don't have to continue to repeat certain patterns and cycles in our life, and we can kind of go within and heal on a deeper level. This card is calling you to go deeper into your healing and to really, really focus on your healing. That's what I'm about and what you're all in this video for, I hope. So energy healing practices, taking care of your energy, continuing to do the inner work, whatever's kind of going on within, of whatever kind of comes up. I put up yesterday, and I'm going to say it again. When we're dealing with Pluto energy, it's literally the darkest corners, I don't want to say of your soul, right? The darkest corners of your mind and where you can go in the negative states, right? And usually we don't just go there. Sometimes it can take something going on externally, one of those cycles we talked about, right? A situation in our life. And sometimes this is where the triggers come up. It's doing that trigger work and fully going in and healing the triggers or even negative thoughts that can come up. It's like literal fear-based thoughts and things, because this is what holds us back and keeps us manifesting those cycles. And that's another topic, right? Because we're actually creating all of this. So sometimes it takes kind of doing that inner work. And I don't know why a lot of people, I don't want to say this, aren't that into the healing, but we're supposed to be, because that's how we get rid of the problems. Like, right? Like everything, externally, internally, feeling better, getting the glow up, getting rid of all the toxic stuff. Like when we heal, we get rid of like the narcissists, the energy vampires, the people that are terrible, and all this external stuff. And we can draw in and align with like good connections and soulmates and like twin flames and all of this stuff. So through our healing is actually how we activate more of our spiritual gifts, clear out the trauma, and get rid of all of the lack, the limitations, the struggle, and all of the things that we've been experiencing in the 3D. It's truly healing ourselves and raising up our vibrational frequency that we can exist on that 5D level, which is like all of the good stuff, like abundance and manifesting and healing and like good stuff in our life. So continuing to focus on your healing, knowing that it leads you to really good places. Let's see, Ehem and flow. Release, control, divine will, oceanic consciousness. And I love this because this could be, there's a lot that we can't control. That's what you're learning with spiritual awakening. I always teach people you can only control yourself and how you respond to things. Like, right? How other people are acting, that's their karmic load. How you're acting, that's yours. Like, and so oftentimes our ego loves to try to micromanage everything outside of ourselves. But when we get in this state of enlightenment, we're like, okay, and we become more masters of our own domain and our own energy and our own frequency and our own healing. Now, that doesn't mean that we want to stop the manifestation work, because that's the most important work that we can do here. You want to put out your manifestations, but allow them to unfold as they do. This is letting go of attachments to certain outcomes. I see this in my work a lot where people are like, no, it has to go this way. Like, right? And I'm like, I'm trying to help you get where you want to go, but you got to be open to different ways or routes or whatever, right? So I see that when people get very, very attached. And then what I see in this work, not all the time, a lot of times people don't get those results. And it's the block. And it's like, this is ego work that we do, right? And it's like, okay, then come the purges and things and stuff like that too. So this is continuing to manifest. But if your life is taking you in a different direction, awakening, unfolding in a different way than you planned, stay open to it. I was thinking this morning, how amazing is your life plan that in reality, I know we like to think, all these doomsday scenarios may come next. That's your ego. But in reality, if you look back at the past couple of years, you've been through some really nice stuff. You made sure to put some really nice experiences in your life plan and kind of allowing that life plan to unfold as it should without the resistance. When we can really, really tap into that 5D state of going with the flow. We talk about surrender, going with the flow, allowing things to unfold. It's like we really, really begin to let go of struggle, because sometimes struggle is us trying to climb uphill at the wrong conditions or row against the ocean, right? And things like that. When you're really, really trying to go in the opposite way of the current, right, it can be very tiring. So when we allowed the universe to kind of bring us where we're going, we can kind of float instead of going through all of that struggle. Go with the flow, however, continuing to manifest, but also stay open to things going in an unexpected direction. I mean this in a good way. Let's do Susan. Good morning, elders. Spiritual mentoring, equality, stability, wisdom, experience, and counsels. And I love this because this could be seeking out a mentor or becoming that mentor after a while, after you got enough in your toolbox and you've learned enough. Sometimes we do that in life anyways. We're all the student and we're all the teacher in all of our connections, whether we realize that or not, that we're kind of playing that role. And that's what this message kind of reminds me of too. And this is very important, that either you're finding a good mentor and they're going to help you to become that mentor yourself too. And so sometimes, this is being around the right people that can teach you more. Our soul is here, and this is Sagittarius energy. Our soul is here for more soul growth. Now, we don't always like soul growth. That takes us out of our comfort zone. It shakes us up. This is why we tend to draw opposites and polarities, like things that'll get us moving if we're stagnant, or, things taking us into the next chapter, whatever it is that we may need. But we're actually here for as much soul growth as we can get. This is how we go through that expansion energy and learn more as well too. So this is a card encouraging you to stay open to learning. And then once you learn new things, you have new things to teach, right? So you study, you learn, then you have new things that you can kind of bring back too, which is what I love, right? So stay open that as you are learning more and expanding more, then you have more to give too and more to draw on. Let's do Jasmine. Share space. Telepathy, co-creation, communing, and honoring. And I love this card because this is we're dealing with the collective card. Now this implies a little bit more like two people, but we're also dealing with the collective card, right? So many of you guys, we talked about becoming a little bit more sensitive to the collective. I think that once you've done enough of this work, you become a lot more telepathic generally. And I mean with everyone, or especially people on that 5D level and things like that too. So you could be really telepathic to everyone, but maybe someone's still on that 3D level and I think some of them can't comprehend the spiritual gifts that come with the 5D and things like that too. But you're going to find other people on that 5D level are also telepathic and have tapped into these. I call them the 5D gifts and abilities, and they're just kind of like the new normal, right? So once you've gone through an awakening and you kind of heal enough, you're going to really become much more tuned in or able to attune to energies more, because that's how we pick up on telepathy, is to read energy or read thoughts and things like that too. Maybe you're really good at that, where suddenly, this is my favorite. It comes to your mind. See, I always say I didn't even realize how telepathic I was until I would hear it in my head as a thought. And then the person would say it like they hadn't said it. So I was probably picking up on it, obviously, before they said it, when they were thinking it, and able to read thoughts like that, but wasn't really realizing it until the person said the same line, popped into my head, and then the person says it. So this is an example of telepathy. This is why oftentimes you can sense if a friend is in trouble and needs you, and call them and they were like, I was just thinking of you, or you were just thinking of your friend, and they call 2 minutes later, right? We're all very, very telepathic, but sometimes we've kind of lost that capability, right? Going into the 3D. And this is something that we're waking up to. And this is more of like a light language transmission language that we're all meant to be kind of tuned into. Now with this, it's a dual message that if not sure your relationship status, if you're in a relationship, you can become much more attuned to that person. You spend a lot of time with this person. You can probably we talk about reading moods, vibrations, and even thoughts with your partner, especially if you're with the right partner. And we talked about being dialed into the right frequency. So for those that are like with someone that maybe isn't ever waking up, right? They may not have those gifts and abilities, but if you're going through an awakening and you're with someone that's awake like you're probably going to be able to tap into and tune into those gifts and abilities. So this is a telepathy card, and even maybe practicing with that because it's something that can kind of come in a little bit stronger. Let's do Crystal R. Depths of love. Let go of fear and jump into love. Let go beyond attachment. So I love this because I was talking about, and this is my like message of the day, tuning into different frequencies and love being one of them. And I think this is really, really important that we can choose to dial into love. And when you either are in that love frequency more with your person, if you have one. For those that are trying to manifest a person, this allows you to tune into that and do that. And it's literally the other option over fear, right? Fear takes you to the lower timelines. We play those fears out. They become nightmares in the awake life, right? Like we're dreaming. They become kind of nightmares you go through for some. And then, of course, love takes us into these higher timelines and it's much better, right? So we're being guided to choose, as they say, love over fear, and to also clear out the fear, to clear out the old attachments, because that's often what fear is too. So when we're in a lot of fear, it comes with, energy things and energy attachments and stuff like that. Time to release any old fears. Now, Pluto right now today is helping us to do that by shining a light on any unknown fears or hidden fears or things you need to kind of see within yourself to better integrate. So stay out of the fear frequency. That could be collectively. We're talking a little bit about the collective today, or just within your own thoughts, within yourself. So awakening is basically transmuting all of the dense energies and transmuting them into higher frequencies. And fear is a very dense energy, right? But we have to kind of go through things and kind of go through the process. So you may be clearing a little bit of fear. It might not be apparent, but it might come up at certain times through the awakening. Let's do Etherica. Divine Masculine, Rise of Truth, Gentle Power, True Strength. So I love this. You might be guided to heal something with the Divine Masculine. So basically, don't want to say this is for everyone, but some of you guys, like if you're a woman, you might have spent a lot of time learning with men in relationships or vice versa, right? Generally. Now, I can always tell where people need the healing by how they feel with their beliefs about the other sex. Right? This is where the rift occurs oftentimes, right? Like, oh, all women are like this, all men are like this. The more trauma, the more beliefs, right? Okay. And then this becomes our belief system that we play out and we experience. So oftentimes we're needing to heal things, obviously within ourselves, but even maybe with the opposite polarity within us, as every person you've ever attracted, every relationship that you've all been in has been a reflection of your feelings within and what's going on within you. This is why we say there's a certain mirroring that happens, obviously with the universe on a bigger level of what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, and what you're attracting, but especially within our relationships. And so sometimes relationships bring up a lot of shadow work. I see a lot of people kind of putting the pieces together, stay in bad relationships over things like fear of abandonment or being by themselves or, whatever it is, power struggles and stuff like this. And so every one of our connections is meant to teach us something, even if it's just to get on your own 2 feet and get more independent and shake out codependent for the divine feminine, codependent dynamics and things like that, or to heal negative beliefs about whatever. You're being guided to heal something within the divine masculine. And I think this stuff is so interesting. So if you gravitate to men more or even avoid them, and I see this with who we attract on a spiritual level as our children, like if you're attracting a girl or a boy, this tells you a lot about your healing and what you're healing specifically. So those that are attracting sons, you need to heal your masculine line. That's what this person has showed up to help you with, right? Attracted a daughter, needing to heal something within your feminine line too. So we all have things that we need to heal within both of our feminine and masculine line. This card is asking you to look at your own connection to the divine masculine and heal something within your divine masculine line. This is easy. Go back to the father line then and the father lineage for this, okay? Maybe having a little bit of a father wound, or if not, if that doesn't resonate, maybe some type of relationship stuff that's been going on with the divine masculine that you're being guided to like heal a little bit more, look at more, and I say integrate more too. So healing your own divine masculine energies within is powerful for attracting or being with a more healed partner that is a masculine. Let's do Curtis. Rising to Pleiadian frequencies. Sacred bond, healing, clear space for higher energies. And I love this. We should be connecting more with the Pleiadians, and this will help us. And I love those energies anyway. A lot of you guys are Pleiadian starseeds. Some of you guys might really look at it. You might really act it, right? And you might be having a hard time integrating that down into this physical life because it can be very challenging and dense here. And we deal with a lot of energies, and Pleiadian starseeds oftentimes struggle with, you know, the karmic imprints and things that you're being guided to heal and clear, and things you've taken on, and the collective and all of it. You're being guided to connect with, to attune, I say tune into the Pleiadians and connect with the Pleiadians. They are here to offer you love, support, guidance, and to help you with your healing journey, especially as we're going through such a transformation during this time energetically. You're being helped through this. Like, it's a huge thing to shift from that 3D lower dense frequency into the 5D. It really is. It's an entire upgrade and I say rewiring, recalibration of your frequency. It's a huge frequency jump. So we have to actually do the work to accomplish that. Now you're being helped, whether you realize it or not. You all have spirit guides, and most of you, especially if you're a starseed, you have that galactic connection. So you have Pleiadians that are helping you through the process, helping to work with you and helping to guide you for this person. So continuing to raise your vibrational frequency, make sure you're doing things to connect with the Pleiadians too. Jolene Bull. Earth and air. Stabilization, physical integration, and mental clearing. So we talk a lot about clearing the mental. That's the inner work. It's like your ego is telling you doom and destruction, right? Bad example, your fear, this is not going to work out. This is going to go terrible. I don't know, right? Whatever negative thoughts. And it could be anything. I'm just kind of keeping it light, okay? It could be the doom and despair. I don't know. I think I'm going to fall off that cliff. Right there. You have the negative thought come up, whatever it is. We are human. I love to talk about us having a human experience. The negative thought comes up. It could be triggered by something externally you're stressed about or whatever, because usually you don't notice the ego. When it's going great, your ego's on its high horse. You're doing great in life, right? You don't notice it. You're on that ego high. It's fake. Okay, so then when the challenges come up, think something triggered you, someone said something to you, right? This shows you the unhealed areas. Your boss was, not very nice at work, right? You had a rough day, lots of traffic, whatever it is. This is where the ego comes out, and it gets kind of, I want to say this, rears its nasty head. Okay. It comes out with the doom and destruction talk, or this won't work out, and it is your biggest block, jokes aside. So in those points where that happens and you have that negative thought, like, okay, I'm going to get fired next week, whatever it is, we're just going to use that. I'm going to get fired next week. It is up to you to tell your ego to stop it and to realize you're actually your higher self past the ego. The ego comes with the human body. It's literally part of your programming, and usually your 3D programming, until you do the inner work to really shift out of the negative thoughts and cycles. That's how you shift into that, higher self 5D level with it. It's going to happen. It doesn't matter why or what comes up. If it gives you some doomsday, negative thought, you're not going to get this, it's going to go terrible, this won't work out, it's up to you to begin to correct those thoughts. The more you do, the easier it gets, and you reprogram. So our factory default setting, think of like an iPhone, is quite negative. our 3D version of self was programmed up and wired up pretty negative. We can blame the collective, family trauma, whatever, right? But it's up to us to reprogram ourselves for the 5D. This is why, like, watching really positive videos, doing affirmations, checking your thoughts, meditation work, energy healing work will help you through this process, because it's up to us to really reprogram ourselves. So we kind of wake up with a lot of negativity because you weren't even noticing the thought in your head. I always say you didn't notice. You were going through too much survival mode trauma, all the stuff karmically that you were going through. It wasn't apparent. Once you have your spiritual awakening, you're waking up and becoming aware. This is where you start to notice the voice in your head that, by the way, isn't yours. This is where you have to kind of check yourself, and if you're having reoccurring negative thoughts, though, that's your belief system. Your belief system is creating your reality. So in order to change the actual physical reality, we have to start to get rid of the negative beliefs. Like, oh, this always happens to me. You know, we talked about men and women. All men and women are like this. And then you're attracting all like this. Or other things that we're holding. This is what comes into our reality as well too. So there's no way around sometimes doing that deeper inner work. You're having it happen anyways. For this person, this was like a mental clearing kind of card. If you're stressing yourself out, make sure you're kind of switching it off and doing other things. And I have lots of techniques for that. But also listening to yourself. Is there a reoccurring fear coming up? Negative beliefs, limitations, you can never do certain things. Really going in and understanding this stuff, but also healing this area too. So we see a lot of like needing to heal the mind, the third eye, especially as, you know, with all this reality stuff too, continuing to, in a not judgy way, we're going to get judgy, right? In a non-judgmental way, right? And this is where, if you've done a lot of ego work, you tend to begin to judge yourself and others a lot less in the 5D. Trust me on that. So in the 3D, your ego can be a little judgy of yourself. We're talking yourself. And maybe even other people. So once you kind of heal this area, you're going to notice that all of that falls away and you're feeling, and this is what happens out of doing that healing work, peace. That's where, and I was liking to describe this, that's where that battle with yourself goes away and you're like in that state of peace and calm. And you can tell, because you can tell when someone's very, very spiritual, they have a certain kind of energy or glow, and like they're zenned out and very calm, right? Like someone real unhealed, it's like trauma cycles and survival mode. And, you know, we want to calm the nervous system and things like that too. So when we can calm the mind, you're not going to be pumping cortisol and stress things through your body all day. You're going to start to feel a lot better too, that we're out of that. We call it survival mode or hyperactivity of the nervous system and things like that too. Really work on your third eye. This will help you with calming down if you do have, you know, thoughts that come, usually under stress, I say, right? And things like that. So activating our third eye can actually completely change our brain. We bring on both sides, and, you know, a lot of programming kept us in the one side. We bring on both sides. And this is where the true merge happens, right? On the third eye alchemical kind of level. Third eye work for you, and then have patience when things do come up. John Andre. Beyond cycles. Find and embrace yourself, new direction, releasing old patterns. So old patterns and responses lead to the same cycle. So if we want different results, this is my favorite quote, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result and expecting it to go a different way, right? Okay, if we want to get new results, we need to make better choices. A lot of that, your life is coming down to that. Now that could be as simple as like, you know, I talk about your day-to-day a lot. How you're spending your time, what you're doing. Are you purging out, you know, your own negative traits, shadow work, addictions, old patterns, things holding you back? It could be like everything. Like I see a lot of that coming up too, so that you can close out old cycles. So if you have repeating patterns and things that you're doing, or old karmic cycles that you're still healing from, this is a card connected with closing out anything on a karmic level, clearing old cycles and shifting into healthier patterns. Okay, David Curtin, blessings beyond the soul path. Honor all life, exchange of joy without karma or sacrifice. So that's how we truly get off the karmic wheel. You know, I don't have that much of an understanding about certain other cultures, but I've always been very drawn to certain cultures. So they talk a lot about getting off the karmic wheel a lot of this is after death, right? Sorry, heaven after death, getting off the karmic wheel after death, and a lot of other cultures and things like that too. Now, my understanding, because I'm kind of very self-learned and taught by spirit here in the physical, is that we want to do this right here, right now, like alive, right? And that when we can learn this stuff and we can become balanced within ourselves and actually live within harmony, we're not going to be wrapped up in karmic cycles because we haven't set them off. And learning a lot about cause and effect, okay? Little things that we didn't think of as cause turn into the cycles coming back around. And it doesn't even have to be in a karmic sense. It could be like many, many different things. It's like little things kind of spinning out and stuff like that. So we want to get off of the karmic roller coaster. It's just drama. It brings negative stuff into our life, right? Like there's many reasons why we want to learn how to do that. Now, we talked about better choices for the last message, becoming more conscious, more aware, and kind of learning how the universe works. That's my thing. Like, right? Learning how it works around here. So after we go through certain cycles and stuff like that, it's meant to help us course correct and to become a better version of ourselves so that we're not continuing to play out the old experiences that we were kind of programmed up for while we were asleep or in childhood or early adulthood and things like that too. So we live in much more balance as we're healing certain things. Now, karma isn't always drawn to us like a bad deed. Sometimes it can be, obviously, I'm not saying that. Sometimes it's an imbalance within ourselves. It's a block, something we need to heal. We tend to attract karmic lessons in that sense and need to integrate certain things. The more we heal, the less we're going to have unhealed aspects we need to integrate, the less we're going to attract the hard lessons and things like that too. So I really, really believe in really healing ourselves and living in more of a balance and harmony with everyone around us, right? So I find some people can be a little sloppy, karmic cycles. They can be a little sloppy and can kind of crash into you and, you know, create a karmic cycle with you, and that's okay. But being more aware of that, of the type of people that you are connecting with, because everyone has the potential to bring you into a cycle. Some of these cycles might be very positive right? And rewarding, and some maybe not so good. And I'm always mindful of like who I let drag me into their reality or whatever, right? It's like they pull you into their stuff. So on a lighter note, just the more balance that you get and the more awake and aware that you are, you're probably not going to engage in, you know, lower vibrational cycles and patterns and things like that. And you're probably going to be, you know, more discerning. We use that word discerning moving forward, which is going to be a game changer for you. So you're not going through all these karmic cycles. We want to get off the karmic wheel, so to speak, and close out some of these things. So for this person, integrating past learned lessons, so that you're not repeating past patterns and you're like learning from it. Let's do Amy Fleener. Heaven on earth. All are invited to the fifth dimension. New word, spirit of matter. So, and I don't want to say people got it confused because I won't make any friends doing that, which is okay. Once again, we're taught that, you know, later on everything, later on heaven, right? We actually came here to wake up to our angelic, yes, you're an angel, but you need to act like it, right? To our angelic origins, and that we came here with a divine mission to create that here on the planet during this time because it was much needed. This is not a new concept. We're here to restore the planet. Like, this was how it was before a lot of these cycles and things on a bigger level. And so we're being guided to do this work to shift our frequency into the fifth dimension. And maybe for some of you guys, you might feel really motivated that you're here to help the rest of the collective with this same process as well too. This is the new earth. The new earth is not some Delulu imaginary place. It's actually here right now, and you can choose your timeline. Like, yes, there is the 3D, the real lower, I call it the inverted matrix, playing out, and there's a lot of, you know, lower timelines. So we have lower and let's just say higher timelines theoretically, right? Real low, war, suffering, terrible stuff. High, this is going to be like literal manifestation and abundance and happiness and joy and good things. And so yes, there's a lot of different timelines, right? You could look at it like you could hop all over the place if you didn't notice when you did your little tour of Earth, right? So you've probably seen a lot of places, walked around a lot of places, and even seen lots of timelines. The goal is to anchor into these higher timelines. We do that by continuing to raise our frequency and to become the version of ourself that can walk into these places. So it's all about, it's not always about like where you're going. It's definitely not about money. It's all about you your energy, your frequency, and who you are as a person to align with these higher timelines and things like that too. I think we're noticing, and I was talking a little bit about this, posting some stuff on my page, there is a collective split that is playing out. You're probably going to feel this frequency. If I take you to let's just say a really terrible place full of suffering or whatever, places you used to hang out when you were asleep, right? You're going to probably feel pretty icky and uncomfortable, and you're probably going to want to go. And when people are full of attachments and problems, and if you've already vibrated out of that and leveled out of it, you're not going back. I was telling someone this in the session. You're not going to go all the way back there. That's what our ego is actually afraid of, that we're going to fall all the way back. You've moved through certain lessons, you're not going way back there. And that's how you know that I call it a frequency split is real, because a lot of you guys are having a hard time resonating in places that you fit in fine with your family, friends, connections you've outgrown, old lovers, whatever it is. You are unable to sit in certain energies, and that's how you know that you're elevating and that your frequency is changing and that you're, meant to be kind of moving upward and onward and forward with this too. So the more that you're working on yourself, you're going to notice you might be a little bit more sensitive to energy. This is a good thing. A lot of people think, being psychically sensitive is a bad thing or a negative thing. It might take you a minute to integrate because you're picking up on a lot, but think about how much this helps you, and it would have helped you back going through that experience 10, 20 years ago when you were super asleep and you couldn't read anything, right? And you were a little lost. So as you are waking up more, you might become more energetically attuned, psychically sensitive. We talked about reading the room a little bit better, right? And this is a good thing. It's going to help you to make those better choices that we need to make to continue to elevate. We want to continue to do things like healing ourselves, elevating our frequency. Sometimes it's our trauma and our karma that keeps us connected to old timelines or attached to old timelines. And the more that we can heal these things and kind of close them out, you're really, really going to go higher too. So really staying focused on what you came here to create, literal heaven on earth. We can talk about the other side of it too, which we've all been through, like the bad, right? We've all seen the duality of it. Okay, you're meant to heal and move up out of the lower, we'll call it, right? We've probably all seen it. You can see it collectively, it's there, but you don't want to go align with it or hang out there, right? So continuing to work on yourself, and through doing this spiritual healing work and self-work, you're going to continue to align with the 5D frequency. It's on a different frequency, but right here. But the more that you're waking up, the more you're attuning to it. So I was explaining, I did a really good job writing about this in my books, from personal experience, the third dimension, the fourth dimension, and the 5D. Okay, this is where my work comes in too. So the 3D is very apparent. Most people are very asleep, right? And dense energy, playing out a lot of karma and old stuff. We talked about that. Separation, consciousness. When we have a spiritual awakening, we awaken to the fourth dimension first. You don't just hop right to the 5. In fact, a lot of you guys get glimpses of the 5 and have more work to do to fully anchor into it. It's like you might even be in between. Now from the 4, and I'll try to put this out there the best I can. From the 4, you can travel back to the third really easy. It's like the in-between world, right, of it both. But this can lead to a lot of this is where you sit and you heal and you do your inner work and you reflect and you let go of your old life and heal the problems. And then we anchor into the 5 fully. A lot of people get stuck in the 4. I'm awake, I'm here, I've arrived, right? I'm done with all the asleep people, right? And it's like a lot of people kind of need to do, I say, the work to kind of anchor into it. I have this, I've written a ton about it in those books, and I am going to get that next book up. I have it going. I've been working on it, and it goes into a lot more kind of topics on this too. So doing that frequency work to fully align with the 5D, and you start to notice it, you go through a lot of symptoms and notice it, and things will change, your gifts come online and your senses and things like this too. So for this person, continuing to do that work to fully align on that 5D level. Okay, I'm going on that note. But I am here if you guys need any healings, clearings, activations. Always just book them on my website. Have a beautiful day. Enjoy your Friday. Have a beautiful weekend.